get paid more or less, depending on
before we devolve into full-blown EU politics here, all right? We can do this later, Merryweather. Before
we can.
Because we have so much to talk about. Jesus. I need to address two things. One, somebody said, who is who? That black guy is me.
I think yes.
That the only girl is the only girl voice. The really complaining one is Merryweather on the right.
Hello there, my darling.
Stop being
quick segue. So we're on a podcast now, like into a podcast, but I don't think not everyone knows that you're actually a host on another podcast, which is every now and again called Internet Dream Lounge. So do you want to tell the audience a little bit about that? How you became part of it? Like, was it something you came up with, or?
Well, I was on a podcast with a DJ dude, an epic DJ dude from America called ECK Beats. He likes tacos and smokes weed, and makes bumping epic beats. And his name is EC. And we just decided, because I was starting to get to know a lot of e-celebs. And people who had huge popular stuff, and I kind of was like, I should do something like this. So I contacted EC, asked if he wants to do a podcast. So we did an interview podcast.
What makes you want to tell these stories then? Like, you said it was an escape of some sort?
Well, let me see how much I can reveal.
He went
I was never very good at school. I kind of grew up being extremely terrible at school. Still to this day, I believe if you put me in a classroom with a bunch of 5th or 6th graders, I'm not going to be able to follow what they're learning. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like my brain short circuits around it. And because of that, I was always led to believe I was extremely dumb. And everyone was able to follow classes. Everyone was able to follow school, and I wasn't. I didn't understand it. This math with fucking, I don't even remember it anymore. Just this weird math that everyone had to do, and I just couldn't understand it. I just could not comprehend it. It's like my brain was like, I really
X
tried.
And it's here.
I genuinely tried. I genuinely did. I really tried hard, but I just couldn't do it. And they were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I just I don't know what's wrong with me. You tell me. You're the teacher. I don't get it. I don't understand this. What are you trying to make me learn? What is this? Explain to me why I need this. I don't get it. So to answer your question, after that, I just stopped going to school. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so I became kind of a NEET in my room. At a certain point, I was like, well, everyone's acting like I'm never ever going to get a job, and everyone's acting like this and that. So I'm just going to sit here, and I want to write, but nobody wants to read my novels because reading a novel is a chore. No one wants to actually read my It's like when I come and show my novel, they're acting like it's a chore. They're acting like they're doing me a favor. You're not supposed to be doing me a favor. You're supposed to be enjoying it. I actually spent a lot of time writing this fucking shit novel. Fucking read it. Fucking read it. And then... And so I just I was like, people like comics, right? I'll just go, I was standing at an anime convention or something like that, and I was reading comics, and I was like, people want to read comics. If it's webcomics or whatever, people don't want to read webcomics. And so something clicked in my head. I'm like, I need to write webcomics, but I can't draw. So I went up to the nearest artist table, and I was like, hey, can you draw my comic? Can you draw my comic for free? And they were like,
for free?
No. And so I stepped one side to the left. And asked the next guy, and he was too awkward to say no. So he said, maybe someday, yeah. And so I don't think he actually expected me to actually follow up on it, but I did. And I just kept sensing him. I just kept emailing him scripts and shit until 9 months later he was finally fucking alright, I'll fucking draw one, okay? I'll draw one. I'm not entirely sure if I would recommend what I do to most people because it takes so long to actually make it profitable.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Carlos is watching, by the way. Hello, Carlos. Hello.
So you basically it will take a while to turn a profit, and I think for the artists that you hire, it sort of makes you feel like, I think most people feel like, why should I bear some risk in like working for less money or none of it? Like if it's something that means something to you, like and you're not putting anything much into it, barring like I'll just come up with the ideas.
Yeah,
I think that's the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's usually the situation. But like, on the topic of like, what you call it, of your comics that you make, how much do you actually envision before you like you send it out? So like, how much of this are you going, oh, I want, like, do you bother to talk about like how you want the characters to look, or do you just say, this is a story, make things that look like they should fit in this world?
Oftentimes, characters are pretty important. It is a visual storytelling medium, after all.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I put a lot of effort into design. Like a lot of Carolus is one of the few exceptions to that, which is because he didn't feel the full wrath of actually having to sit down with Merryweather and make a perfect waifu design. He has never experienced that. He should be grateful. That is one of the few things where I am in fact quite harsh. In that there's going to be a ton of revisions and stuff, but that's, other than that, like when the comic actually gets going, it's pretty like I put a lot of emphasis on just keeping it flowing well, which is why the artist gets a ton of freedom, because if you let the artist draw the comic and how they prefer to draw the comic, chances are it's going to be better.
Yeah.
And the same goes into deciding what the story is going to be about as well. If we decide what the story is going to be about beforehand, it's obviously going to be better because it's what the artist is going to prefer drawing. Crawling City. We wanted to create a fun, very short story about just a girl living with a tentacle monster. It's honestly very typical. I kind of created the whole story around the character of Arya, which belongs to Parolo, by the way. And then we kind of build it out from there. I've always loved Lovecraft. It was we tried to do some Lovecraftian elements in it. The only time, like, the Lovecraftian elements kind of enhanced as time went on, and Crawling Dreams just kind of started out with like 100%.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a spiritual successor to Crawling City anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about Succubus Girlfriend?
Succubus Girlfriend. Similar, we wanted to create a like an edgy romantic comedy type thing. I like kind of silent main characters in that way. So that's what I did. I created that as kind of like just a cute girl with like a cute sassy girl who just goes like, I want to have sex with you, and then a guy who's like, no,
remember, it's webtoon now. It's I gotta kiss you.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, we had to change it to kiss.
Oh God.
Yes.
Sorry,
webtoon.
Okay. Winter Moon, and by extension, I guess I might as well ask Magnolia Online. Since I'm here. I'm gonna ask both of them at once.
Sorry, go ahead.
Winter Moon and Magnolia Online.
Winter Moon and Magnolia Online. Winter Moon was based on the first comic I ever did with the guy who said like, sure, I'll do a comic with you, and never expecting me to follow up.
Yeah.
We did a comic called The Steam Dragon Express.
Yes.
And The Steam Dragon Express was basically a story about an archaeologist who gets trapped in this alternate kind of world. Like an isekai.
Yeah.
And he has to travel on a magical train that flies through the air to different fantasy environments, and that was that comic, kind of.
Okay.
And so later on, I still had this idea of like a flying train that travels to different fantasy locations. I've always had that idea in my head, so I created Steam Dragon Express to kind of go along with Paul's artwork. Paul is always very, very good at like creature design and just like drawing fantasy landscapes and drawing RPG inspired things. So I made that for him, and he's been killing it.
Oh yeah.
So Steam Dragon Express existed in a different form beforehand than
It
before
did.
it was.
You can still find it on some old manga sites. I had to take down all of my own uploads since it's featured now, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But if you search enough, you can find the old Steam Dragon Express.
I was keeping
I'll tell you
track.
quickly. Winter Moon is a creation based on this idea that I only had 4 panels to work with. So I had to create a character who was so powerful that he could end any conflict in less than 4 panels.
Basically, it's the online gaming version of One Punch Man.
Yeah,
Yes.
I noticed.
And on the other side, I created Risa as kind of like Risa's been in development. You can find like super early versions of Risa and like older versions of what is Magnolia Online. She kind of got developed slowly. I wanted this kind of princess like gold digger-esque character, and then as Risa, I just kind of realized that my Yui is like Risa, and then I started just basing Risa on her.
Okay.
Mayu reminds me of a character
yeah,
I'm drawing. I have a cunning plan.
Hashtag that, my fellow Kekarinos. Hashtag that. Let's all play Fortnite together. Follow me on Twitter at Real Donald Trump.
Mary, no!
Follow me. We'll all play Fortnite.
You know, Mary, I love you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone who
Yes.
joined. I love everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for showing up, guys. Thank you.
We weren't sure.
I'm just gonna leave him there. I'm not gonna let him say goodbye. Thanks for showing up.